Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a topic that's guaranteed to ruffle some feathers in the hunting community. That's right, we're talking about the 5 hunting calibers that only fools are still using in 2025. Look, we get it. Some of you might be emotionally attached to one of these rounds. Maybe your grandpa handed down his trusty rifle, or you've had success with one of these calibers in the past. But the hunting world has evolved, and if you're still clinging to these outdated choices, you're probably working harder, not smarter. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why these 5 calibers drive American hunters crazy, what makes them problematic choices in today's hunting landscape, and most importantly, what you should be using instead. So grab your coffee, put your ego aside for the next 15 minutes, and let's jump into the 5 hunting calibers that serious hunters have left behind for good reason. Caliber number 1, .243, Winchester. The .243 Winchester, the caliber that's responsible for more wounded deer than we care to count. First introduced back in 1955, this round was marketed as the perfect dual-purpose cartridge, supposedly ideal for both varmints and deer, and therein lies the problem. We've all heard someone defend this round, but my wife, kid, cousin uses it with no problem. Let's be honest, just because you can kill a deer with it doesn't mean you should. The .243 sits in this awkward middle ground. It's overkill for coyotes and groundhogs, but underpowered for consistent ethical kills on deer-sized game. Here's the reality. The .243's 100-grain bullets just don't carry enough energy beyond 200 yards for reliable expansion and penetration on deer. Sure, with perfect shot placement on a smallish whitetail under ideal conditions, it'll do the job. But hunting rarely gives us perfect conditions. The number of times we've heard stories about, "I hit it perfect but couldn't find it" with .243 shooters is staggering. What's happening is marginal penetration, poor blood trails, and wounded animals. That's not ethical hunting by any standard. But here's what you should be using instead. If you're looking for a low recoil option, step up to the 6.5 Creedmoor or even the 7mm 08. Both offer significantly better ballistic coefficients, energy retention, and terminal performance without punishing your shoulder. Caliber number 2, .3030, Winchester. The 3030 Winchester, the granddaddy of deer cartridges that refuses to die a graceful death. First introduced in 1895, this round has probably taken more whitetail deer than any other cartridge in American history. But just because something's been around forever doesn't mean it's still relevant. Let's look at the cold, hard facts. The 3030's rainbow-like trajectory makes it essentially a 150-yard gun at best. Its relatively low velocity means poor expansion with traditional flat-nose bullets. And in today's world of 300-plus yard shots across food plots and power lines, this cartridge is woefully outdated. The .3030's limited ballistic performance stems directly from its lever-action heritage. Those tubular magazines required flat or round-nosed bullets to prevent chain detonation. The resulting poor ballistic coefficients mean energy and velocity bleed off rapidly after leaving the barrel. But let's be real. If you're hunting anywhere with shots potentially extending beyond 150 yards, you're putting yourself at a serious disadvantage. Today's hunter has access to far superior options like the .308 Winchester, which offers dramatically improved ballistics while maintaining reasonable recoil. If you're devoted to the lever-action platform, consider the .357 Magnum for close work or upgrade to a .35 Remington 4570 or one of the newer lever-action compatible rounds like .308 Marlin Express that give you modern ballistic performance in a traditional package. As legendary gunwriter Jack O'Connor once wrote, "The 3030 has probably killed more deer than we'll ever know, but it's also probably wounded more than we care to admit." Caliber number 3, .270 WSM, Winchester Short Magnum. The .270 WSM a perfect example of a solution in search of a problem. Introduced in 2002 during the short Magnum craze, this caliber promised Magnum performance in a short-action rifle. Sounds great on paper, right? Well, there's a reason you don't see many of these on gun store shelves anymore. The .270 WSM delivers about 200 to 300 FPS more velocity than its standard .270 Winchester parent case. That's it. That marginal gain comes with significantly higher chamber pressures, accelerated barrel wear, ammunition that costs nearly twice as much, and availability that's spotty at best. We've lost count of how many hunters have told us stories about driving to multiple stores during hunting season, trying to find ammunition for their .270 WSM. When you're planning a hunt that costs thousands of dollars, do you really want to risk not being able to find ammunition? To be fair, the .270 WSM does have some legitimate advantages. It delivers excellent ballistic performance from a shorter, lighter rifle. The cartridge is inherently accurate, and it does hit harder than the standard .270 Winchester. For Western hunters taking shots at mule deer or elk at extended ranges, these benefits might matter. But for 95% of hunting scenarios, these advantages are completely theoretical. The standard .270 Winchester does everything the WSM does with less recoil, less expense, better barrel life, and ammunition you can find at any sporting goods store in America. Even worse, the .270 WSM suffers from what gunsmith Pat Weber calls orphan cartridge syndrome. It's not popular enough to ensure long-term ammunition production, but just common enough that manufacturers can't completely abandon it. That puts owners in caliber purgatory. If you want true Magnum performance, commit to a full-size Magnum like the 7mm Remington Magnum or 300 Winchester Magnum. If you want a short-action rifle, get a 6.5 Creedmoor or 308 Winchester. The .270 WSM sits in an uncomfortable middle ground that serves no practical purpose for most hunters. Caliber number 4, .223 Remington /5.56 NATO caliber. The .270 WSM sits in an uncomfortable middle ground that serves no practical purpose for most hunters. The .223 Remington, or its military cousin the 5.56 NATO, has exploded in popularity for hunting in recent years. We get it. Many hunters already own an AR-15, and the idea of using one gun platform for everything is appealing. But this might be the most controversial inclusion on our list for good reason. Let's be crystal clear. The .223 Remington is marginal at best for deer-sized game. With bullet weights typically between 55 and 77 grains, these projectiles simply lack the mass and energy for reliable expansion and penetration on larger animals. While modern hunting bullets have improved performance, we're still talking about a round designed to wound humans, not quickly dispatch 200-pound game animals. There's a reason many states have minimum caliber requirements that specifically exclude the .223. Wildlife agencies don't create these regulations randomly. They're based on decades of field data about what constitutes ethical hunting practice. The platform itself offers advantages too: low recoil, quick follow-up shots, and customizability that other hunting rifles can't match. Plus, ammunition is relatively affordable for practice. But if you're committed to the AR platform for deer hunting, consider upgrading to 6.5 Grendel, 6.8 SPC, or best yet, .350 Legend or .450 Bushmaster. These cartridges offer dramatically improved terminal performance on game while still functioning in a similar platform. As veteran hunter Ed Weatherby puts it, shot placement is king, but adequate bullet construction and energy are queen and jack. Why start with a disadvantage? Caliber number 5, .300 Weatherby Magnum. The 300 Weatherby Magnum, the poster child for more is better mentality that ignores practical hunting realities. Developed in 1944 by Roy Weatherby, this belted Magnum pushes velocities to the extreme, but at costs that make it a foolish choice for most hunters. Let's start with the obvious, the punishing recoil. The 300 Weatherby kicks like an angry mule, generating over 40 foot-pounds of recoil energy in typical hunting weight rifles. This leads to the development of flinch for most shooters, and flinching is the enemy of accurate shot placement. Then there's the cost. Factory ammunition typically runs $4 to $7 per round. For hand loaders, specialized components and increased powder charges add up quickly. Add in the accelerated barrel wear from the extreme pressures and velocities, and you're looking at a significant financial commitment. But perhaps most damning is the real-world overkill factor. The 300 Weatherby drives a 180-grain bullet at nearly 3,250 feet per second. That's tremendous energy that's simply unnecessary for deer, antelope, or even elk at typical hunting distances. It's the equivalent of using a sledgehammer to drive a finishing nail. To be fair, the 300 Weatherby does have legitimate applications. For open country hunting of large, tough animals like moose or brown bear, especially at extended ranges, its flat trajectory and energy retention are valuable. For professional guides in Alaska or Africa who may need to stop a charging animal, the extra power provides peace of mind. But for 99% of hunting scenarios in North America, this caliber represents excess without purpose. The 300 Winchester Magnum or 7mm Remington Magnum deliver comparable performance with less recoil, less expense, and better barrel life. If you're hunting deer, antelope, or even elk at typical distances, calibers like the .308 Winchester, .306 Springfield, or 7mm 08 Remington will do everything you need with far less punishment to both your shoulder and wallet. As the saying goes, you can only kill an animal dead once. The extra velocity of the 300 Weatherby doesn't make an animal more dead. It just makes your hunting experience more uncomfortable. Deeper dive, unpacking the science. Let's take a moment to understand exactly why these calibers fall short through the lens of terminal ballistics. When a bullet strikes an animal, three main factors determine its effectiveness: penetration, permanent wound cavity, and temporary wound cavity. First, let's talk about sectional density, the ratio of a bullet's weight to its diameter. This directly impacts penetration. The .243 Winchester with its lighter bullets suffers from lower sectional density compared to the 6.5mm and 7mm. This translates to less reliable penetration through heavy muscle and bone, especially at longer distances when velocity is dropped. The .3030's limitation isn't just its rainbow trajectory, it's the bullet construction. Those flat-nosed bullets limit expansion potential. While modern options like Hornady's Lever Evolution have improved performance somewhat, they're still hamstrung by the platform's inherent limitations. With the .223 Remington, we're dealing with a fundamental physics problem. Terminal effectiveness correlates strongly with momentum, which is mass times velocity. While the .223 has plenty of velocity, it lacks mass. Even the heaviest .223 bullets around 77 grains simply don't carry enough momentum for reliable penetration on deer-sized game, especially if you encounter heavy shoulder bones. The .270 WSM and .300 Weatherby represent different problems, diminishing returns. The .270 WSM delivers only about 10% more energy than the standard .270 Winchester, but costs nearly twice as much. The 300 Weatherby, while impressively powerful, creates so much recoil that practical field accuracy often suffers. Remember, a marginal hit with a .308 Winchester is far better than a miss with a 300 Weatherby. Understanding these principles helps explain why certain calibers persist despite their shortcomings. Manufacturers continue marketing these rounds because they either have dedicated followings, 30-30, fit popular platforms, 223, or command premium prices, 300 Weatherby. But educated hunters need to see through the marketing hype and understand the physics that actually determines hunting success. Field testing. Seeing is believing. We didn't want this video to be just talk, so we want to elaborate field testing to demonstrate exactly what we're talking about. First, the .243 Winchester. Using popular 100-grain hunting bullets, Performance at 100 yards was adequate, with good expansion and 14 to 16 inches of penetration. But watch what happens at 300 yards, where velocities drop below 2,400 feet per second. Expansion becomes inconsistent, penetration decreases, and energy drops below the commonly accepted 1,000 foot-pounds threshold for ethical deer hunting. By comparison, the 6.5 Creedmoor with 143 grain ELDX bullets maintained excellent expansion and penetration well beyond 400 yards, with energy staying above 1,200 foot-pounds. The superior ballistic coefficient means it simply carries energy downrange more efficiently. The 30-30 Winchester showed exactly what we expected. Excellent performance out to about 125 yards, but rapid deterioration beyond that. At 200 yards, penetration was marginal and expansion inconsistent. The traditional flat-nose bullets simply run out of steam. Our .223 testing was perhaps most revealing. We tried multiple premium hunting bullets, and while they performed admirably on properly placed shots, penetration was consistently limited to 10 to 12 inches. That's simply not enough margin for error on quartering shots or when heavy shoulder bones are encountered. The .270 WSM did outperform the standard .270 Winchester in our testing, but the margin was minimal, about 200 FPS higher velocity translating to roughly 15% more energy. Is that worth the extra cost and reduced barrel life? Our testing suggests not. Finally, the 300 Weatherby Magnum did deliver impressive ballistics, pushing 180 grain bullets at over 3,200 feet per second. But when we tested practical accuracy with multiple shooters, the excessive recoil led to significantly larger groups compared to the more manageable 300 Winchester Magnum. The best bullet placement wins every time, regardless of velocity. These controlled tests confirm what experienced hunters have known for years. These 5 calibers all have significant limitations that make them suboptimal choices for most hunting applications. The data doesn't lie, even if marketing departments and tradition-bound hunters might. So there you have it, the 5 hunting calibers that only fools are still using in 2025. Now, before the comment section explodes, let's clarify something important. If you're using one of these calibers successfully, we're not calling you a fool. Hunting success depends on many factors. Shot placement will always be king, and the most important tool in hunting is the one between your ears. A skilled hunter with a .243 will outperform a novice with a .308 every single time. At the end of the day, the best hunting caliber is the one you can shoot accurately and confidently. If that happens to be one of these 5, and you understand its limitations, then by all means continue using it. But if you're in the market for a new hunting rifle, or finding yourself frustrated with the performance of your current setup, consider our recommendations. What do you think? Did we miss a caliber that deserves to be on this list? Do you strongly disagree with any of our choices? Let us know in the comments section below. And if you found this information helpful, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our upcoming video on the 5 most versatile hunting calibers for any game. Until next time, shoot straight, hunt ethically, and we'll see you in the field.